How's it going, guys? Today we're gonna be not making a crossbow again. Woo! I know, I'm awful, I'm terrible. Worst YouTuber of all time, in fact. So inconsistent, so unreliable. But quick little announcement, in a mere 20 days, I'm driving down to Oregon to collaborate with Matt from Ironclad Industries, the official Zednought Gamma, and then straight from there, driving down to California to meet with one Omar Isuf. Now, I know you guys totally believe that the stuff with Matt is going to be, as the young people say, dank. But I can understand you guys having some doubts about the stuff with Omar. Our channels aren't really similar. How are we gonna make this work? Guys, we're creators. If there's one thing we know how to do, it's entertain you guys. So I might put a hint as to what me and Omar are gonna be doing for our collaboration at some point in this video. But yeah, let's get to this armor that may or may not be for Omar. Old body armor, you've served me well throughout the years. Through many juggernaut paintball matches, through many bow and arrow tests, through many overly dramatic thumbnails, you've stuck with me. You never asked for any compensation. To serve me well was enough, and that is why it is so difficult for me to think of a reward fitting for your service. But in your old age, I believe the greatest reward I can give to you is rest. Eternal rest. And that is why today I'm gonna harvest your organs and use your plates as a stencil to make a new, much younger, more attractive body armor that will replace you entirely, and I will likely forget about you. Later, nerd. Alright, the best way to remove rivets is to drill them out, so I'm going to flip it over so that you can see all the caps of the rivets, put some plywood underneath, and get to work. Alright, so I got the old plates off here. These ones are made of fiberglass. I cut them out of the hood of a car. The new plates are going to be made out of this 14 gauge steel tread plate. This is the same stuff that I cut the Raider Berserker helmet out of. Or actually, this might be 16 gauge. I don't really remember. This stuff, though, is super tough. Definitely going to stop whatever knife or blade or probably even arrows or crossbow bolts or whatever you're going to throw at it, as long as they don't obviously make it in between the plates. But anyways, I'm going to flip this over so I've got a smooth surface to work with, and I'm going to start placing the plates on this side, lining up this edge right here so you can save yourself some cutting discs. And I am going to adjust the size of the plates for Omar because he is taller and bigger than me. So now I'm going to trace these out with this silver paint Sharpie. Now that these are drawn out, I'm actually going to cut these out and use them as the stencil for the other half because these are not the same size as the original plates, so it would just be kind of difficult to eyeball them on that side. This should ensure everything's symmetrical. Alright, now I'm going to use a file to remove the burrs from the edges of these plates. Guys, I'm not joking right now, okay? Do not try to pull the burrs off with your fingers, okay? You might get one, you might get two, maybe even get three, but somewhere along the line, you're gonna underestimate how attached to the plate one of the burrs is, and you're gonna yank on it, and it is gonna slide out of your hand, and it is going to F you the heck up. You're gonna be so effed the heck up that you're like, F, man, I shouldn't have effing pulled on that S. Now my fingers all F the heck up. You know what I mean? Now I line up the pieces on the other side, making sure to take into account the thickness of the grinding wheel, and I'm gonna trace the plates mirrored on the side. Sorry if you can hear that, it just started raining. Before I connect these plates together, I'm going to clean them off with this steel wire cup brush. Get it moderately shiny like the helmet. This will just be easier to do while the pieces are flat before I put the bends in them and attach the nylon webbing to. Make sure you clamp this stuff down because these steel wire brushes have a tendency to catch on stuff and fling it across the room at crazy speeds. If you want to look into the dangers of rotary tools, go ahead and check out my self-stitching video. And now also, before I put the bends in the plates, I'm going to put the holes that I will later use to attach all the plates together. So it's going to be a really simple process. Just take one of these washers, put it next to the edge so I can accurately measure the distance that I have to put the hole. And I'm going to do 2 holes in each plate going all the way down the middle, and then a hole in every major corner. So like here, 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 and here, and here. For perfect symmetry, I'm just going to mark out half the plates and then put the 2 halves together and drill through both of them. So now that I got all the holes drilled out, I can finally start bending the plates. So what I'm going to do is score on these lines that I've drawn out right here that I've used the old plates as a stencil to make. And I'm going to use a cutoff wheel on my angle grinder to lightly go back and forth on those lines so that I can get a really sharp bend right there. And make sure you don't take off too much as to weaken the structural integrity of the plate. But even if you do go a little bit overboard, I'm going to show you something that I'm going to do to replace any of the strength that might be lost from scoring it.
Find your way back home.
Alright, now to strengthen the bend, I'm just going to weld right over it. Alright, it's not the prettiest weld, but what matters is that it's strong, which I guarantee it is, and it's going to be on the inside anyway, so it doesn't really matter what it looks like. Alright, now that I got the plates finally formed out, I can get to work on the base. What was old paintball pads before is going to be replaced with this heavy-duty canvas padded with this upholstery foam. The main design difference between the two is going to be that I'm not a lazy little wiener this time around, so instead of just directly connecting the plates to the base, which causes this dramatic tearing like this, instead of of doing that, I'm going to be connecting each plate to each other via this 2-inch wide nylon webbing. So essentially it's just going to be the plates and the webbing taking all the punishment, and the base is just going to serve to cushion you. Alright, I put down this piece of construction paper and then I traced out a rough outline of what I'm going to need the base to look like. Now I'm going to fold this in half on this line right here and then cut it out so I have a mirrored image. Now I'm going to trace out the stencil onto the canvas using that silver Sharpie. I'm going to do one line that is right along the edge of the stencil and then another one that's about, I don't know, maybe half an inch away. I'll explain why in a minute. Alright, I'm going to cut out the basic shapes just to make it easier to work with. Now I'm going to cut this out along this outer line that I drew. The outer line doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be, I think, what's called the inseam. I'm not really very well versed in the language of sewing, but what happens is you cut along this outer edge, you sew along this inner line, which connects these two pieces of canvas together, and then you flip it all inside out, which leaves this nasty edge on the inside, so the outside just looks really nice. And even though I'm not a lazy little wiener anymore, I'm still a scared little baby, and because I'm too afraid of messing up this stitch, instead of stitching two identical pieces of this base-shaped fabric together, I'm just gonna use the top piece of the base, and then the bottom piece is just gonna be this oversized piece of fabric. This way I've got a little more room for error, and when I'm done, I can just trim the edges away. I'm pretty new to the sewing game. Hopefully this goes okay. Here we go. Okay, doesn't seem too bad so far. What the heck is that? Is it supposed to look like that? That is an ugly stitch. Alright, I kind of messed that up. This should be able to lay flat, which it can't right now, but we'll make it work. So now I'm just going to trim away all the edges, and I'm going to get to work on padding it. Now I'm going to flip this whole thing inside out from the bottom that I left open. Welcome to ZNA Productions. Today we're going to be sewing and ironing, but don't worry, it's for armor, so it's still manly. Now I'm cutting out this 12 by 16 from this foam. Now I'm going to slant these corners so that the foam can fit into the base a little better. It doesn't matter if it's super pretty. Once everything is sewn flat, it's all going to look the same. Alright, now I'll insert the foam. This might be kind of tough because it basically like sticks to the edges in a weird way. This is one complicated seat cushion. Alright, now the foam is in there. I'm gonna try to close this part up, but I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Now I've got these 4 2-inch welded rings. You can get these super cheap at very many hardware stores. They were about $1.50 each, these ones from Menards. But if you don't have any place nearby you that you can buy these things, you can easily make them. Go ahead and check out my cloak pin build. I'll show you how to make a near perfect ring out of just some steel rod, which is actually a little more difficult than you might think, especially when the rod is too thick to be bent by hand. But basically we're going to be using these things right now to make one of those adjustable belts where this part will be attached to here like this, and then there will be another strap coming from the back base of the armor that goes in through here, out through in between these straps right here, and then it's a really strong lock from here, but it's adjustable from here, so you can pull it to tighten it and it'll stay in place. And shout out to the guy that sent me this 2-inch nylon webbing. This is really good stuff. Thank you very much, guy. All right, 2 6-inch sections. Make sure you singe the ends of the webbing so that it doesn't fray. I'm gonna start with a stitch right here to keep this little thing together easier. Now I can attach this here. I'm gonna do 3 rows of stitches, so this is extra strong. Just kidding, I'm gonna do 5. Boy. Just kidding, I'm gonna do 3. Just kidding, I'm gonna do 5. Now I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. And now I got these lashing straps from Home Depot, also pretty cheap. They're about $8 for 2 of them. I gotta use these for the over shoulder straps because there's not really enough tension over the shoulder for something like this to be effective. This will keep everything nice and adjustable while also probably looking pretty cool. All right, so I'm actually gonna cut this here right where this end of the strap finishes. This one too. And sew these on right here. Make sure these are facing the right way. I almost sewed this one on like this, and that would have sucked to try to pull off. All right, I'm gonna prepare the webbing to accept the plates. Mark out the holes with the silver Sharpie. Put the webbing on top of this piece of styrofoam. Now I heat up this rivet with my torch, and I'm gonna use it to punch some holes through the nylon. It's important that you do it this way, that you don't just cut the holes out or try to stab them through with like an X-Acto knife or something like that, because this makes sure that the inside of the holes are also melted so it doesn't fray, sort of like how we melt the ends. If you don't have a propane or a MAP torch, you can just use the stove. Now I've got all the webbing melted through, I can get to work on tracing out the holes onto the base. Line this up here and start marking it. Now I can start poking the holes through here. Now this canvas is made of 100% cotton, so I can't melt through it with the rivet like I did with the nylon. I just have to use this X-Acto knife to punch stuff through. So I've got this piece of styrofoam under here. I just gotta press this flat as possible and then stab all the way through. You can put a fender washer on one of these 1/2-inch by 1/4-inch rivets. Put it all the way through until it pops out right there. Then goes the webbing, then the plate. This is gonna be a tight fit. Use a clamp to hold this on. Pop this rivet. All right, one down, 1,000,000 to go. Oh boy. Now it's taken some time, but I finally attached all the plates, and when I got to here, I decided I'm actually going to attach a couple more of these ring belts. These are gonna be attached slightly differently than these ones here. I sewed at the bottom and the top here to make it easier to work with, and then I punched through it with the hot rivet. I'm going to rivet these in between the plate and the base. These ones aren't totally necessary, but I think it'll do a lot for the look. These ones will go around the waist, and this will be more like underarm. Alright, now I gotta do a little bit of a shortcut, but not because I'm lazy. Guys, I have so much stuff to do before I leave. I can't even articulate the amount of things that I have to do before I leave on the 27th. I legitimately might be finishing things up while I'm at Matt's house where I'm supposed to have everything finished. So guys, I swear if I get the opportunity to armor these motorcycle pads, I absolutely will. I would love to do it, and I'm definitely gonna show you guys at some point, but I gotta get going. So look, this should be incredibly simple. I'm just going to drill out these, well, they're not really rivets, they're more like grommets, but I'm gonna drill these out, and then I'm going to attach some of that good webbing into here. I'm gonna do the same thing down here, and then up at the top right here, I just gotta replace this crappy webbing with some of my better stuff, and that should be, well, that should actually be it for the entire armor. Nice. I'm sorry for this, guys. Please don't kill me. Alright, now to put it on, this here, feed the new webbing through the top, sort of like a sandwich sign. And there it is. I think we made something pretty cool. Looks like we're getting dangerously close to a full suit, guys. The only thing left are the legs. Now, if you see anything that I'm wearing right now that you might want to make, like the helmet or the bracers or the Spaulders or whatever, go ahead and check the description. I have build videos for everything that I'm wearing right now. Yeah, I guess I can finally start working on some legs. I don't think I have ever made any leg armor on my channel ever, so this should be pretty interesting. Yep, not to toot my own horn, but definitely a fan of this armor so far. So I hope you guys enjoyed the build. Hope you're excited for these collaborations coming up. I know I am. This will be the first time that I've ever left my garage, so it's pretty spooky, but I'm ready for it. But that's all I got for today though, guys, so thank you all very much for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.